right, guys, I've seen some forums on how to do a dual caliper setup on Explorer rear end. So this is my 99 Mercury Mountaineer V8 5.0 with an Explorer 8.8 rear end that we're going to be removing and installing on the Danger Ranger over there. It already has an 8.8, but it does not have the dual calipers. So we're gonna go ahead and remove these. All right, first things first, we gotta take off all the bolts like I did over here. All right, it was a lot harder than I thought. I was trying to save the emergency brake to be able to utilize it in the Ranger since I cut it off. But since I'm cutting the bracket right down the middle with those two bolts, I'm gonna just be cutting this down the middle on this one, and then the same thing on the other Explorer. So basically flipping this backwards and mounting it on those two bolts right there, it's gonna eliminate the emergency brake anyways. So this is the reason why I'm putting this rear end, because I already have an 8.8 rear end, but this one is out of a 5.0 Explorer, and it comes with stock Caltrax, I guess. I have the ones that mount on the bottom from Calvert Racing. So in a way, I'll have a parallel 4-link suspension, and then I'll just need like a ladder bar that'll hook up to the back of the diff and then the frame of the truck. That way it doesn't have any horizontal motion. But this is pretty much it. Gonna clean her up. I'll probably just end up installing it like this anyways. But I do gotta take all this stuff off. All right, I got the diff right here on the jack stands with the jack under it to support it so it doesn't tip over as easy. These are holding it. It's, as you can see, it's pretty loose. What I'm gonna be doing is taking off the caliper with these two bolts right here. It comes off. Then I can take the disc off, which, as you can see right here, I already have it off. And right now it's just hanging there. This hose, it's ripped, so it's gonna be thrown in the trash. And either these or the ones I have in the Ranger are gonna be the ones for the secondary. So I don't really need to get another OEM line, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take this one off. Since I'm using this differential, I'm gonna take the OEM lines off, run the ones from the other diff over there, and install them back on, since the other ones are OEM and not ripped. Right now what I'm currently doing is I need to take this bolt off. It's an 8mm, so I can take this pin out so that I can take the clips. I don't know if you can see it. I'll get to it when I get to it. Take those clips off, and to be able to take the axle out so that I can, you know what? No, yeah, I need to take it off. So I can take off the brake caliper bracket. So yep, let's go ahead and do it. All right, we got everything out. There's one bracket. It's just gonna be those 4 bolts to remove. It is, the back of it is gonna be these. These are just, as soon as you start loosening them from the outside, when you remove the axle, these just, they get locked right in place. And you just spin these and then just catch these. Once it's done spinning them, now you'll squish your finger like I did. Now, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying to figure it out. So if I were you guys, I would wait until the end, make sure this works before you start taking apart your differential. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, once you take out that nut, you have to pull this out with a magnet. It's going to be a little bit stuck on there since it's under, well, not pressure, but it's going to be, you know, kind of tight. It's the pin looks like this. It's gonna look like this. You just grab the magnet like so, and you stick it to the end, and you start pulling it in. Eventually you'll get it out. But yeah, we pretty much got everything disassembled here. This is what it looks like from the inside. I'm not gonna be replacing the clutch packs. I'm just gonna end up welding all the Spidey gears together. I tried looking for different alternatives to make it a full spool or a mini spool. If you have an open diff, you can get a mini spool and that's it. But if you have an LSD like I do, you either need to weld it or upgrade your clutch packs or do a bunch of other expensive shit when you could just weld that shit for free if you have a welder. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. Gonna be cleaning everything on the inside, setting it on fire. That way the person that's gonna come and weld it can just weld the heat it up, weld the gears, and have a welded diff already. think you just set it on fire, but clearly didn't get that much on fire. Gotta light it up again, but make sure everything's nice and clean. I cleaned it with brake cleaner as much as I could, wasted the whole can. And yeah, let's set it up on fire again. Alrighty, here we are on the Ranger, doing the same thing we did to the Mountaineer. We're gonna take off the whole diff and then disconnect it from up top of the leaf hanger to drop the whole thing out. This one doesn't have the traction bars that go right up here that are gonna go connected somewhere on the frame over here, so that I can have parallel traction bars. Alrighty, here you have both of the brackets cut in half and bolted on correctly. Now all we got to do is put the disc, the brake disc, both of the calipers on each side, and see how it looks. Bam, there you have it. We got both of the calipers on, mounts nice and secure. Just got to weld them up. It should be all right like that, but you know, you're gonna be drifting, putting some pressure on that, so I think it'd be better to just do it. These are the 10mm to 3AN dash fitting. I just gotta put the diff back in the truck and measure the lines from where I want the hydraulic brake to be at. All the bolts are nice and tight, so this ain't going nowhere, and this basically what it's gonna look like. One will be the primary for normal stop and go driving, and then one will be for straight drifting. Hell yeah, brother. This is what it looks like right now, clean, degreased, ready to get welded tomorrow. Just got to load it up on the truck. Since the differential is going to be under the truck and you're pretty much not going to see it, I could just leave it like that, but I'm just going to hit it with some flat black primer just so it can get all uniformed up. All right, we got the top part of the diff painted up. As you can see, I didn't paint the calipers or the mountings because I still need a weld right here. So, sorry, wrong one, right there on both sides, and then same thing over there. So I just went ahead and painted the whole diff, and just let it dry for a couple of minutes, maybe about 30 minutes or so. Come back, flip it upside down, probably mess up the paint, but it'll be all right, and finish painting the bottom of it. So I had the brilliant idea of putting the tires back on. That way the diff can rotate up and down, and I won't have to flip it or even move it around. I can just push it with the traction bars, just grab one and one and just move it around. Easier, better mobility, and then I can finish painting the underside of it. So let's go ahead and do that. And just like that, it's done. Now, we weren't going for picture perfect quality or show car quality, but from as rusty as it used to be to what it is now, it's okay by my standards. Especially doing it out here, you know, in the backyard, grass, barely any pavement. I think and outside in the elements, I think it came out pretty good. At this point, it's been a couple days after Easter, and I went ahead and painted the caliper. The inside doesn't really matter too much since nobody's gonna see that, but the outside, metallic. And then I went ahead and went a 2-color combo. That's gonna be blue, and this is gonna be black. The brackets are black. Ignore the welds as long as it works. Probably could have welded that up a little bit better, but it'll be all right. And then same thing over here, using the clothesline as a little painting area. And yes, we're outside, we don't have a booth or anything, but yeah, that's just little maintenance to make it look nice and clean. I just went ahead and took out the pins and lubricated them up. I did notice that one of them was too far gone. You could probably clean it up, but I had gotten these new ones, 2 of them, so I just went ahead and replaced that one for one of these. I took all of them out, made sure they were greased up with brake lubricant, and put them back in. So now these 2 are ready, and then I still have to do those 2 over there. You can barely see them, but they are ready to go back onto the truck with new brake shoes. Bam! Besides the rusty disc brake, I did notice that the way these brake pads are, it's gonna scratch up the paint, unfortunately. But you know what? It looks better than this of what these used to look like. So just gotta finish bolting them up, 4 sides. I'm gonna wait and let do the other side, wait for the calipers to cure a little bit more. Maybe the paint will hold up a little bit better. But yeah, this is officially the final look, how this is gonna go together. All right, game time. Got it all nice and connected. The hole down there. Got just these 3 bolts. I gotta make the holes, and they weren't on the plate, so I gotta do them on the actual body, and then throw in fucking screw, whatever they're called. But this is nice and mounted. There we go. We'll see how it holds when I'm actually drifting. If not, I'm gonna have to reinforce it and make it a little bit stronger. But that's what it's looking like so far. Stock brake line, check. AN brake line to hydro, check, and route it with some zip ties. It's not going anywhere. And now all we gotta do is fill the reservoirs up with brake fluid and bleed them. Forgot to mention, I should have cut these off from the welds. What I'm gonna do is cut these off and weld them right up top of here so they can go directly onto the frame, because as of right now, it's not anywhere close. We are back from the event. It's been a couple of days since I last recorded the last clip. We've already tested these. Everything works great. What I forgot to record prior to testing them out is that I couldn't get the brake to bleed off the master. Obviously, you bleed it like the traditional way. You put the fluid in the reservoir, you pump the handbrake, and then you have either your friend or somebody else. If you have one of those normal bleeders, you can bleed it by yourself. So I had a friend and we couldn't get it to bleed. What advice my uncle gave me was that the nipple to bleed the brake is at the bottom right here. And he was telling me that years ago he had an issue where he was never able to get it to bleed. So what I ended up doing was basically taking this off, just the master, and turning it backwards so that the nipple can be up here. So I basically took this off and put it upside down and put it back on so the nipple was outside. That way it wouldn't compress the caliper or anything, and bled it like that. And after that, everything seemed to work great. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to message me at Solo Mini Trucking on Instagram, and I'll be happy to help you out. But that was the only issue that I found. Now, everything worked great. As I mentioned before, I did get a little bit of brake drag, but that was because the way I have my lines routed, it's next to the transmission at the bottom. And so it goes along the rail, and then it's on the exhaust up there somewhere around there. So I just got to reroute that, and everything works great after that. I shouldn't have any more issues. But thank you guys for following along, and until next time, keep following me on my mini truck drifting journey.